This computer case is the Silverstone FLP02. It's designed to look like a computer case from the 1980s. A lot of people have bought this case. Silverstone has made a video where they demonstrate some of the features and functionality of this computer case. Antec has created a computer case to put competition on the FLP02. It is called the Monolith. It will have a lot of the same features and functionality as the FLP02, but with a more modern look. It will be released on April 1st, 2026. In the United States, April 1st is April Fool's Day. Both cases have 3 large expansion bays. There are some devices that require a minimum of 3 large expansion bays. The FLP02 is a mid-tower. Mine is a Micro ATX. The FLP02 is more than twice as big as my computer if you measure it in cubic inches. I don't like the fact that the FLP02 relies on third-party hardware to mount the internal hard drives. Because of the size of the FLP02, I think it should have at least 6 internal hard drive bays. I wanted to show off the inside of my computer case. As I scroll down, you can tell I have room for 5 internal hard drives. They are in a RAID 0 array. They have adapters so you can put 2 of the 2.5-inch hard drives in one 3.5-inch hard drive bay. I think my computer has the perfect amount of external expansion bays and internal hard drive bays. The Silverstone FLP02 is an interesting computer case in the year 2026. I obviously have a lot of criticisms about this computer case, but my biggest criticism is the price. The price tag for the FLP02 is over $200. You can go to Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist and find old retro computers for $25-35. Sometimes you can find the retro computer cases for free. I don't see why you would spend so much money to get something that's a knockoff of a retro computer instead of just buying an actual retro computer. For example, if a 1957 Chevy in good condition sells for $65,000, but GM reissues them and is selling them for $90,000, why would you want to pay more for something that they're reproducing? Anybody can go out and buy them, and let's suppose they're selling 100,000 of them each year. It's not rare, it's not a collectible. You want the original. On the other hand, if they released a reissue of the 1957 Chevy for $40,000, then it would make sense to buy the reissue if you can't get the original. Most of the people who bought the FLP02 computer case are not using the expansion bays. If you look at my old computer case, you can tell that the little hard drive cage that also held the floppy drive has been removed. There's a lot of computer cases that will let you remove the hard drive cage. There's usually only 3 or 4 screws holding it in place. The large expansion bays are usually connected using rivets. You've probably seen videos where people have taken hand drills to remove the rivets, and then they end up putting in a liquid cooling system. They have devices like this for the large and small expansion bays. If you have a 3D printer, you could print them out yourself. The bottom line is you could get pretty good airflow for a retro computer case. If you want even more airflow, you could drill holes on the side of the plastic front panel. The computer case on the left is a mid-tower case. You can tell because it has the 7 expansion slots. The computer case on the right is a Micro ATX case because it only has 4 expansion slots. I've scaled them so they're pretty accurate in size. The difference in height between the Micro ATX case and a mid-tower case is right around 3.5 inches. You only had to compensate for the 3 extra expansion slots. The difference between a mid-tower case and a full tower case was also 3.5 inches. The full tower cases usually had dead airspace above the power supply. The full tower cases would have enough room to add an additional liquid cooling system. The computer case manufacturers compensated for the height discrepancy by adding 2 large expansion bays. Let me explain. If you had a particular case style in Micro ATX, it might have 4 internal hard drive bays, 2 of the small external bays, and 2 of the large external bays. If you wanted to get the mid-tower version of that particular style of case, it would be the exact same thing with an additional 2 large expansion bays. So you'd have 4 large expansion bays total. If you wanted to get the full tower version of that particular style, everything would be the same except for it'd have 6 large expansion bays. In the year 2002, it made sense to keep adding more of the larger expansion bays because a lot of people wanted 2 DVD burners so they could make copies. People wanted to have hot swappable hard drive devices that they could stick in those expansion bays. And also, a lot of audio and video cards had I/O panels that would fit in those expansion bays. They usually connected with a cable that looked similar to a floppy drive cable. The I/O panels became obsolete because people started switching to external audio and video devices. The same thing happened to the PCI and PCI Express slots. Back in 1998 or even in 2002, a lot of the high-end audio and video equipment used the PCI cards, but they connected to the breakout box using something that looked a lot like a printer cable. I used to have a Layla 2020. It could record 8 analog tracks simultaneously. You could run 4 of them in tandem to record 32 tracks simultaneously. The problem is you'd have to use 4 PCI slots. By 2004, a lot of people started using audio and video devices that could make use of USB 2 and FireWire. You simply had to buy 1 USB 2 card or 1 FireWire card, and you could run 3 or 4 FireWire and USB devices off that 1 card, as opposed to the need of using 3 or 4 PCI slots. Since the need for expansion bays and PCI slots diminished over time, I decided to switch to Micro ATX cases. Do you folks prefer full tower, mid tower, or Micro ATX? Over the years, people have left comments on my videos stating, nice sleeper PC, nice retro build. I want to ask if my computer still looks like a retro PC or a sleeper PC. Would you folks like to see Antec make a computer case similar to mine? I wanted to mention that where the holes are on the side panel, I would like to cut that out, make it 12 inches long by 1.5 inches wide, and fill it in with metal mesh. The end result should look similar to this computer case. Which case do you prefer? The one on the left or the one on the right? Would you prefer the Silverstone FLP02 or my computer case? If you have purchased the Silverstone FLP02 case, enjoy using it, but I'm hoping this video will inspire some of you to think outside of the box.